capital of South Korea. We're at a major protest which is blocking quite a large area of the city centre. It's slightly unusual. This is a protest by doctors and professionals. We're used to seeing political protests and various complaints and protests around. Though this is a bit unusual. These are doctors, and these are senior doctors in the South Korean health service, and there are other medical professionals. The reason they've gathered here today is in support of their colleagues, junior doctors here, or at least the majority of them, have been effectively on strike for 2 weeks. Around 9,000 of the country's 13,000 junior doctors have been refusing to go to work and have abandoned their posts. They actually don't like the word strike because most of them have resigned. They say they've actually left the health service. That's how angry they are about how things are happening. Now, we'll tell you a little bit more about the detail of the dispute in a moment. But obviously, there are a lot of speeches taking place here. They're all in Korean. There are a lot of posters in Korean. There are some signs here in the English language. So let's just get a flavour of what they're saying. Or your health. For a healthier future, support our cause. And over there, invest in medicine, invest in humanity. In some ways, this might be a belated attempt to win over public support. That's something that has been a little bit neglected so far. And in fact, public sympathy in this country, perhaps surprisingly, is not with the doctors, who obviously in normal times provide care for people, but it's actually with the government. Now, in a nutshell, the government here wants to recruit thousands more junior doctors. And on the face of it, you'd think everybody would agree with that. More doctors is a good thing, of course. But the junior doctors already in post say the system is broken. They say their workload has become massively excessive. They talk about 40-hour days without a break, just working continuously for 40 hours. They also say that some weeks they can put in between 100 and 120 hours. Now, obviously, everybody thinks doctors are very well paid, and even here in this country, the public believe the doctors are well paid. They earn more money than most people, and that's one of the reasons why there's not a lot of sympathy at the moment for this doctor's action. But the doctors say, if you take into account how many hours we have to work, 80, 100, 120 hours in a week, they say if you divide our pay by the number of hours we work, then in fact we're paid less than nurses and we're paid less than technicians after all those years at medical school. So what they're saying is, if the government is allowed to go ahead with its plan to recruit thousands and thousands of young physicians straight out of medical school, they will take jobs at almost any pay and conditions just to get a foot on the ladder. And that won't do anything, say the junior doctors, to try to fix a broken system. They want to see a fairer pay structure across the whole health service. They say it's essential for the future of the health service here in South Korea, and if they can't make that happen, then they don't want to be a part of it. So let's have a walk around and see what's happening here. Now, can we just see if this lady will have a talk to us? Hello.
Hi.
We're live on TV at the moment.
Yes.
Can we ask you, why are you here today? Are you supporting the junior doctors?
Yes, I'm a medical doctor myself, and I am supporting the junior. Actually, is that okay to keep the mask?
It's just a bit hard to listen to you.
I know, but
okay.
I don't. Yeah.
Could you speak up?
Sure. I am here to support the junior doctors. They've been working way too long under a harsh environment for a low pay for a very long time. I also myself also went through the same system, but now so I completely understand, and I think it's about time that we need to change the system so doctors are also healthy and they're exposed, so they're exposed to a healthier work environment, so we can do a better job.
And the doctors who are here today, and this is really quite an impressive show of support. These aren't the junior doctors, these are senior doctors and other members of the profession who've turned out to show public support for what the junior doctors are doing.
Yes.
And I see that you're writing some signs in English. I think, to be fair, some of the details, okay, maybe we could stand up. So some of the details of this protest aren't particularly well known by the general public.
Right.
And sympathy, public sympathy here in South Korea seems to be with the government rather than the young doctors.
Right.
Are you working to try to change that?
Well, it is. Yes, I will work towards communicating more, informing them more about the current medical situation that we're having. And I know Korean general publics are very friendly, very nice. And so I believe that once they understand, once they know what we're up against, then they'll definitely understand, and we're going to work together. Yeah.
I think the junior doctors would say they're actually fighting for the future of the health service. And although pay is an element, it's not the main reason. And I think that's maybe what some of the public don't understand. If the junior doctors aren't successful, what's the future for South Korea's health service?
You mean if they're not successful means?
If there is no compromise, if there is no way to settle this dispute?
Actually, I don't really want to think about that option at all. I truly want them to come back because that's where junior doctors are in need of. I mean, we have so many patients who need their help, and I know these junior doctors, they love to be back to their patients, but this is right now is the system that's stopping them from coming back.
Okay, last question. Do you think if this dispute escalates and continues, is there any possibility that more doctors, not just junior doctors, but doctors from other disciplines might also join the protest?
Well, I cannot predict the future, but there is a high possibility, and this is why we're here to stop that. We want to talk. We want to solve this problem together in a peaceful manner, and then we want to secure our Korean healthcare, and we want to protect our patients. That's what we're here for. So I really want them to understand that.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you. Best of luck. Okay, let's have a walk around and see if we can get some idea of the size of this protest. People are still arriving. So if we go on this slightly raised area here, can we just for TV, we're live now, it's live on TV? Live, we just want to, no, okay. Okay, we can't go there. So let's go as far as we can. Can we come here? So as we look to our right, there is a stage where speakers are talking to the protesters in obviously the Korean language. In front of us, you can see line after line after line of doctors and other professionals move down the line in a short while and see if we can get an idea of just how long it is. So we can't go up there. Let's try and go down this way. So the organizers, which is the Korean Medical Association, which actually represents all doctors, that's the 9,000 junior doctors who are involved firsthand in this protest, but also the other 120, 130,000 or so doctors throughout the health service. They're the ones who've made this happen. They were hoping for a really large turnout today to show support to the junior doctors, who effectively are under increasing pressure from the South Korean government. The doctors, as I said, many of them have actually put their resignations in. As far as they're concerned, they've left the health service, and many of them say they don't want to come back, which of course leaves a massive hole in the healthcare in this system. Now, the government, for its part, and the health ministry, they say that they don't accept those resignations. And as far as they're concerned, the doctors are on strike. Well, under the law here in South Korea, the government has the power to order doctors back to work. If they refuse to do so, they can be stripped of their licenses to perform medicine. They can also be taken through the courts. They can be fined. They can be sent to prison in extreme circumstances. And the government says it's not bluffing. It gave the junior doctors a deadline of last Thursday at midnight to return to work or face severe disciplinary action. A handful, a trickle of go back to work, but the majority of the 9,000 who are involved in this protest did not do so. They are still staying away. And what the government has done now is they have raised the temperature again by issuing formal notices to 13 junior doctors. They've published their medical license numbers, their hospitals that they're affiliated to, not their full names, but certainly enough to identify the doctors. And they have said that is now no longer a warning or a threat. That is the beginning of the legal process. So legal action has basically begun against the first 13 junior doctors. If that is pursued in the coming days and weeks, then clearly the first step will be suspension of their medical licenses, and then we'll have to see from there how far the government wants to take it. So, as we said, this is very much a middle-class protest. We're certainly not expecting any violence here or any disturbance, although the police are here in fairly large. But this crowd of people that we were showing you earlier, which stretches from the stage away now to our right, is completely filling half of a major highway in the center of Seoul, and is extending back for many, many hundreds of meters. So it's always fairly difficult, probably not accurate at all, to be able to estimate numbers at these protests when you're actually in the middle of them. But clearly it is many thousands of people who are here to show support. Right, can we go through here? Let's see if we can get amongst it and see if we can see anything else. They are trying to move people along and keep it fairly orderly and organized. So I'm not sure how far back can we see. There's certainly, it's certainly in the thousands, the numbers who are here. It is clearly a strong show of support. This dispute, this protest, to date has been slightly unusual in that I think an independent onlooker might have expected more public support for a section of community such as doctors. But the doctors have almost deliberately not courted public opinion because, as they put it, they're not on strike, striking to achieve an objective. They say the health service here is broken and they no longer want to be a part of it. So they've walked away. They've walked away, they've handed in their resignations. Obviously, everybody, particularly the patients, hopes that that is not going to be the final situation. They hope that the junior doctors can be brought together with the government and some sort of way forward can be found to try to satisfy the doctors but also protect the future of the health service. The government here appears to be in no mood to compromise. They have said this isn't something that can be compromised over, and they say that the doctor's position is hard to justify walking off the job. It certainly had a severe effect on medical services here. Here in the capital Seoul, there are a number of very, very large teaching hospitals, university hospitals. They have had to cancel more than 50% of the operations. Excuse me. They're trying to maintain an emergency service, but certainly any kind of routine hospital appointment or any scheduled operation isn't taking place. There are many, many reports in the media here of people who can't get emergency treatment, people who've been in accidents, people who've broken bones, who've tried to get hospital treatment, but they've been turned away by one hospital after another. There are also reports of a woman in her 80s who suffered a cardiac arrest, who reportedly was refused treatment by 7 different hospitals. That woman unfortunately lost her life. She died after not receiving treatment, and of course that has caused a lot of public upset here.
지금 저희가 예상 인원이 2만 명 정도였는데 지금 현재 약 3만여 명이 모이셨다고 합니다. 대단히 많은 인원입니다.
Let's keep on the move and see if there's anything further we can bring you.
여러분들 너무나도 고생 많이 해주십니다. 하지만 한정된 공간에 너무 많이 인원이 모인 상태에서 안전이
What is clear, I think, is that it is a large turnout. What the numbers are, we can't say. I think it's definitely in the thousands. It's certainly what the Korean Medical Association was hoping for. A sign of support for the doctors who are involved in the protest, who are obviously feeling the strain of being threatened with severe reprisals by the South Korean government, but also to try and elicit some greater public sympathy for what the doctors are trying to do. The doctors are saying that even though pay is a part of their protest, it's not the main objective for them, and what they do is create a fairer, more sustainable career path to protect the future of the health system here. And they're warning that if it can't be resolved and they don't go back, they're warning patients, people here, that they need to be ready to accept the fact that the health service here will be different in the future to what has gone before. There'll be fewer doctors, it'll be harder to get treatment, and even in emergencies so far, there is no guarantee that people can be seen by a doctor as quickly as they should. This isn't showing any signs really of being resolved, this protest. Monday begins a new working week. The government is back at work. They intend to pursue their campaign against those first 13 doctors. They say the legal process has now started and that will progress. Whether even at this late stage some sort of deal can be reached, we don't know. But if it's not the case, the future prognosis for the health service here in South Korea and for the patients who rely on that health service is just grave, basically. Anyway, that's it from here. We'll be keeping an eye on this story in our news bulletins, but as you can see, certainly a lot of support for the junior doctors here from within the profession. We need to wait and see whether that's broadened to include the wider public community. From Seoul, we're signing off.